but I think that Leaf and Gibbs certainly are onto something about Endpoint being a tough out, especially with how Virtuoso looked last time.
Well, certainly a tough out, no doubt, but at the same time, Triple Trouble historically has beaten Endpoint in general. I mean, they've met since RLCSX started 6 times, and Endpoint's, only come up with it 1 time in that span of matches. So in general, Triple Trouble tends to play pretty well against Endpoint, excuse me.
It was the most recent one, so maybe it's a sign of a trend reversal achieves. But when you think about Triple Trouble, they just took down Vitality. So they got to be feeling just as good as Endpoint probably do. And we'll see how things materialize here in game number 1. Relating wave, get a hard touch out to midfield. Calyx sends it right back to the net. Mets, quick save.
And you're really looking for Virtuoso to come back and have an excellent series like he did last week. If you guys remember that one. But Tadpole, not quite a free look. Great tap off the wall. Calyx needs an extra helping hand as well. And Endpoint going to be able to bail themselves out of an awkward spot.
Ooh, Bluey. Ended up getting that ball back out to Calyx. Now a nice pass to Tadpole. Bluey works his way downfield and creates an opportunity.
Now that's a great push out from Calyx, and Virtuoso's just trying to close the space there. He doesn't want to let Bluey have any room to maneuver, and Bluey sees Virtuoso coming early, so he just cuts that ball hard back across the middle, and Virtuoso is the only one who could do anything about it, but he got crushed on that pass.
Oh, another touch there for Bluey. When Triple Trouble started Season X, the narrative never really seemed to shift for them. It was always promise, but they're really not getting any results. Oh, they look kind of good in grid. There are definitely pieces there that can work, but they're still not getting the results. They lose to some random team in the regional, or they look kind of good against a really good team in day 1 of a regional, and this is the difference. They get these now. Tadpole catches all of Endpoint out, and it's 2 goals for Triple Trouble.
Mets, I think, got a little bit of situational blindness there. He was so focused on his team pressing so well, and he was thinking about pushing forward to try and finish the job right there with that ball bouncing around, but he didn't even see the guy hanging out on the wall and realized a half second too late.
Either way, this regional for Triple Trouble, I've obviously been following them closely throughout their grid runs, and while the results have been slow coming, you can definitely see the improvement on the pitch, namely Bluey in this rotation, where, his boost management, I think, still is something he's getting better at, but he's just finding himself in the center now of a lot of these plays, and it's enabling Tadpole to strike as often as he has. I mean, look at this carry here from Bluey. That's just something he wasn't doing earlier in the season. He wasn't able to find those opportunities. So when that's all working for them, what does it give you? Well, it gives you a 2-goal lead against Endpoint in a tight spot where you're trying to play for a major.
And you're right, Bluey has always been a guy that, likes to be very aggressive, uses a lot of boost on the pitch, is always around the ball and exerting pressure around the map. And him being able to find that sort of same groove here with Tadpole and Calyx is, I think you're right, really been a nice boon to their overall performance increase, because you really start nailing down how you want to rotate, how the other people on your team think, and that cohesion is really starting to show as we move later and later into the winter split.
Things have stabilized for Endpoint, and they've been on not the same journey as Triple Trouble, a similar one. If anything, it's analogous to Team Liquid, except the other side of the spectrum, where all your matches are close, but you're winning them more often than you're losing them. But you never think Endpoint are in full control of a series. They tend to sneak back into a game when you least expect it, and it's from turnarounds like that. Oh, what a block from Bluey. Virtuoso caught a little too far forward.
Another scary one, though. Mets is a dangerous guy when he gets chances like that, and I really think Triple Trouble count themselves lucky they got away for free on that one.
Certainly. Look, I wouldn't want to be the team that's playing Endpoint in a 1-goal game under a minute left, for sure, so Triple Trouble happy to retain 2 goals. I've seen way too many crazy 0-second opportunities from Endpoint to think another one won't happen right again. Mets, that second touch, I don't think he wanted that. came off the ceiling, off his car, and put it out off target.
Well, it wasn't too bad. It still stayed in a relatively playable area after that double tap, intentional or not. Virtuoso, that's the one that's really going to hurt. Big time waster. Still in a favorable spot, though. Great challenges from Endpoint here at the end of game one, but you need to find something in the back of the net.
Good defense and good clears from Triple Trouble overall. When they started their first game against Vitality, some Triple Trouble fans out there, whew, they might have been thinking, well, Triple Trouble, they're done. But then they just came roaring back. This time it's different. They don't start slow in game one. They start emphatically and with 3 goals to their names to start off the match.
Solid start here for Triple Trouble, no doubt. I think 1 or 2 of those were really just Endpoint trying to press a little too hard or not realizing the situation. Obviously, the one where Mets just kind of let Tadpole bash the ball over his head in for a free goal. That one definitely sticks out in the mind. But overall, I actually thought Endpoint played a pretty decent series in general. It really did just come down to who won the challenges, and in general, Endpoint were doing an okay job in the corners, but it just never developed into anything more than that. A sparse shot here and there, but Triple Trouble able to lock down on defense and capitalize on the couple of opportunities that they were given.
For Triple Trouble, Tadpole finds himself at the top of the scoreboard yet again. 2 goals off of 4 shots, and certainly thanks to the efforts of Calyx and Bluey. But this is starting to become a theme for Triple Trouble, a consistent theme that's really working for them. And Endpoint, I think you're right, Achieves. I think as long as they start, not with as much wooziness, if you will, out the gates, then Virtuoso might actually be able to create some more space for his team again.
Yeah, I mean, he might, but like we talked about in the middle of that game, I think that Bluey, Tadpole, and Calyx have really locked in on that rotation, and now there's a lot less space to kind of maneuver in. So it's really all on Endpoint to change how they like to break out of their own half. Like we see with a lot of other teams, be able to execute under that defensive pressure, get those passes out to your team. It's tough to do that in any situation, but you can always rely on Virtuoso, I think, to be able to make a play in that regard as well. So there's a couple of different avenues to success here for Endpoint as they try and refine the transition game here in game 2.
As far as which avenue works remains to be seen. Triple Trouble, they're not without their own flaws. If they get down early and they don't feel like they have control of the pitch, they tend to overextend, make risky passing plays where there might not be a play. But right now they feel like they're in control, and Tadpole just missing the mark. Virtuoso with a little bit of space, not a lot of boost though. That's going to be hard to work around Bluey. The boost stolen out from him. Metzenaris continues to touch, and that's going to be a long one for Relating Wave to get to.
I actually really liked Virtuoso's control of the pace of play there. His support system over on the left side got demoed out of the play, and he actually turns in a double tap because he's able to recover back around the midfield one time here with space. And Tadpole, how much boost does he have? He's only got about 20. So he's trying to say, all right, let's see where you're going on the backboard before I try and defend it. And he almost got there, but couldn't quite tip it away.
That's exactly the kind of catalyst that Endpoint need to, get the mind straight again. He really didn't have any success on the orange half in game 1. And for Virtuoso to kick it off like that against Tadpole, who's usually pretty clutch in front of the goal line, things might be looking pretty good in game number 2. Relating Wave sneaks another one in.
Sneaks is a great word. This is a tough shot from Relating Wave. He jumps before that ball's even bounced off the corner, and he knows exactly where that one's going. So Bluey sees him coming, and Bluey knows he's not reaching that ball in time, so he takes his best guess in the net, and Relating Wave just squared one up right there.
So this is a great position for Endpoint. Again, I feel like Triple Trouble struggle more than most teams when they have to play from behind. In their last grid run, that wasn't so much the case, but it's still a problem for this team. They got demoed on the backside. Metzenaris had an angle, and he hit it.
Yeah, it's the demo right there in the midfield that as they rotate out, that Tadpole, I think, was trying to wrestle with what that ball was going to do as it bounced off the corner and try and gauge about where people were going to be in the midfield. So not really in a solid enough position to try and cut down a defensive or an offensive push from Endpoint, and Metza just had that little bit of extra time to move through.
Nice pass and nice shot from Tadpole. raining down from the sky. There's green everywhere, Chiefs.
That is money. Look at this touch from Bluey. No chance. And Tadpole lets it, he hits it late. I mean, it's so much easier to hit that ball right as it gets to you. Aim for that top left corner. Tadpole lets it go that extra half second. And boy, top right, no chance.
That almost turned into a 4th goal for Endpoint, but Tadpole dove in front of Metzanaris. By the way, that's a nice start for a turnaround for Triple Trouble. But Endpoint, well, this kickoff has been so good for them because it's netted them tons of boost. And beating Triple Trouble to the ball always feels good if you're in the blue. And Endpoint are, but Tadpole gets a couple of nice touches, forcing Virtuoso back.
I'd actually love to know how Tadpole won that challenge, and it's all about how does Triple Trouble retain possession here. No one's in position, and Calyx has to save one off the goal line when they were able to push Endpoint all the way to their own half. And I'm just like, where did everybody go? What happened?
Dude, Tadpole had to make another save? Oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Virtuoso gets the 4th goal, and Endpoint able to extend their lead a little bit.
Well, what did you say, Jorby? They don't particularly play particularly well when they're particularly well when they're down a lot. And they got out of hand early, and now it feels like they're trying to press a little too hard here and open up some extra lanes to work with. And you feel like this one might be out of order.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, now it is. After that one, I thought he had an angle on for the net, but we're not in the business of calling the game too early here. Still half a game to be played, but it's a nice recovery for Endpoint. Yeah,
you're right. It's plenty of time, but it's just you really need to start to see it, you know, get reined in a little bit here on the Triple Trouble side and start commanding possession a little bit more. And this is a great way to do it.
Well, that's what I was
on side.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Even if it's not a big lead, they tend to, when they're on their own half, they'll turtle. They'll try to receive the pass because they don't feel like they've had possession all that often. But then they get on offense and they think Triple Trouble just think every pass is a good idea. Second to third man pass and the attacking third, and first man still hasn't rotated around. Oh yeah, we'll take that. And then the ball's in the back of their net.
Oh, there you go.
Instead, this might be a different look for Triple Trouble. This is a nice wrap from Calyx.
Yeah, exactly. Cutting rotation there, and that means he gets to beat Metza to the ball and recover on the corner and dish that out to Tadpole. That's a great decision from Calyx, just to say, rotation, get out of the way, I'm cutting in, and he turns it into a great assist.
Another catch here for Bluey, but he can't find the 50 against Mets. Triple Trouble get the launch downfield. It's up to Relating Wave to make up for that space, and he does get that and more. Actually, maybe even a shot for Mets, and that was barely saved off the crossbar. I'm surprised that went the distance regardless. Virtuoso kicks another possession away.
Calyx trying to be very measured in his approach out of midfield, but that's the second time in a row now that he's just let Endpoint out for free. There's the demo on the goal line. Shot from Virtuoso, and that is tipped away from Tadpole. How does that one not go in the net?
That was the equivalent of Tadpole just diving off of a pool slide and making it halfway into the pool, but he still touched the water, so it still counted. Right? That was Tadpole's save right there, barely hanging on to it. But that just wasted time off the clock for Endpoint. They're feeling a little bit more comfortable now. Well, maybe Tadpole can make him feel a little more uncomfortable. Calyx's shot saved by Virtuoso.
Great patience from Virtuoso there, not to get a little antsy with two people coming at him in the air for the same ball. There's always a chance that they just get that crazy pinch as Metza floats one towards the orange net. Bluey's going to support Calyx and try and get this ball out to safety, but now with under 30 seconds, you're feeling like, don't know if Triple Trouble will have enough time. Just got too far out of hand too early. And while they made a decent push back, Calyx again just comes up dead empty, and he still gets the clear.
This happens in any game Endpoint are in, okay? It doesn't matter what team they're playing. Hang on a second. Tadpole, if he can get it with time, he tried to shovel that ball to Calyx. That was a nice opportunity, or a nice chance, if you will. But it's Endpoint who take the game at Sheaves. Although, I will say, good recovery by Triple Trouble to stabilize after the debacle in the first minute.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to. You know, you really needed to see the bleeding stop and feel like they could have a chance going back there. And Endpoint still able to string together a couple more opportunities after that one as well. But ultimately, yeah, the lead just too big too early. And while they did recover and start, you know, pushing here and there, it was just, okay, stop. Let's not get this going too far.
Yeah, I think that, you know, for Triple Trouble, it was just they get caught in these situations where, and sometimes I'm watching an Endpoint player when it's happening, but like they just get stuck on the back wall or the backboard, or they want to receive the ball because they see a gap past the first man, but then like they can't really get the touch that they want because Endpoint have been good enough at staying behind the ball and keeping control rather than giving it up across the back wall.
And I think what I want to see personally out of Triple Trouble in this next game is I want to see Calyx be a little more decisive in the midfield, because I think he was just, and this extends to Triple Trouble as a whole in general, they're in the right area, but they're not closing the gap, but they're also not challenging. And so they end up just conceding way too much space, and that's especially what was happening at the end of that second game there. So even though Triple Trouble didn't allow any more goals, it's just they let Endpoint off the hook too easily, and I really want to see that midfield start to become a little more stingy on defense and not let Triple Trouble just break out of their own half for free. And I think that really all starts with Calyx. And there you go. That's a great challenge win and forces Metza to make a great save.
I really thought you had a premonition there as he won that challenge. I'm like, man, that's gotta feel real good to call right as that goes in, but Mets good enough to grab that save. I think it starts here for Triple Trouble. Here it is. Virtuoso couldn't quite grab the touch. He did get a piece of it, but the turnaround will be Triple Trouble's.
Okay, Calyx got physical there as well, trying to give Tadpole as much time as possible, but Endpoint still able to squeeze that ball out to the opposite end.
Well, Mets has been looking really good as far as keeping control and even buying time for his team. Either way, he's made his touches. He's made his touches, and Metzenaris puts in the most important touch for Endpoint.
A classic Endpoint, you know. We talked about a couple of different ways for them to be successful, but we left out the one that we initially knew them for, the demo on the goal line. Means the guy with the best chance of stopping Metza's shot has to wait a couple of seconds to even think about being able to do it. And Metza, that is a smashed ball into the top of the net.
Sometimes, Achieves, you have to go back to your roots. You know, it's great to change, great to go through improvement, but at the end of the day, what made you most exciting, Endpoint? Well, it's the explosions, to be honest. That's not true. There's tons of exciting things. I love this Endpoint team, but pushed up again. Tadpole doesn't have a push, and Metzenaris downfield gets there quickly. Calyx, tough touch to make, and he's tasked with the clear. Does so, and Tadpole able to move forward, but that last man has been real tricky for Triple Trouble to get by.
Yeah, I think Calyx was expecting something a little different on that challenge, and look at Virtuoso, quick recovery up on that wall and return fire from Bluey. This is the speed is slowly increasing as the series continues.
The artillery velocity, Tadpole, he sends in a bowling ball, rolls it right under, the pins fall apart, 1-1.
This is why Tadpole is number 2 in goals per game. Like, how do you decide to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to limp this one off to the lower left-hand side? Because you know you've got the guy diving across the net, someone coming out of the net, he goes, yeah, don't worry about it, I've got the space.
Yeah, he kind of saw it developing right before the pass came out to him. It's like, oh, I know they're on the back wall. They're totally expecting a banger to the top. And that's where both Endpoint players were. Tadpole, accuracy has been something he's been successful at all season long. It continues for Triple Trouble, and the match gets just a little bit tighter. We're all tied up halfway through game number 3. Virtuoso with the flip tried to slow it down on the drag, and it did create a little space for relating wave. Oh, Tadpole can't get there. Bluey's gonna bail him out. However, that puts Tadpole stuck on the goal line. He's slow for the challenge against Virtuoso. 2 solid touches for him. Oh, what a cut from Metzenaris! Dirty! 2-1!
We will see you later. Look at Virtuoso stick with this ball and beat Blue to the recovery touch. And Calyx, I mean, try and close the gap as much as you like, but bye-bye, we'll see ya.
That was just nasty. You talk about Tadpole having the gall to just shoot it, you know, bottom left with 2 players on net. How about Metzenaris just kicking the power slide, e-brake. Easy fake.
You know, that's the best part of what makes all of these players so good, because
Virtuoso gets Literally the equivalent of the hockey tip-in off
Oh, he
the
got
demo.
a double bump, and he flipped to the
Oh,
right. Oh,
dude.
my gosh.
That's literally, if you wanted the full dinner of Virtuoso, right? Demo's just the first course, right? The second course, obviously his challenges. The third course, whatever that was.
Oh my gosh, you gotta think about the timing of that too. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's even slightly early on that flip to the right, then that ball's just gonna go straight up and go nowhere.
Oh, the pass in front, but it's kicked up high. You know, Leaf said, I think we're in for an entertaining one. Congratulations, Leaf. You were correct. Had some fun chances. Bluey has a double, and the bump on Virtuoso gave the opening, but just couldn't find a shot on target.
Oh, and Bluey's pass a little bit offline too there. I don't think Tadpole was going to be able to score it. That shot was just coming from so far away, but this is good for Triple Trouble. I think this might be the longest stint on offense that they've had this entire series.
Well, they do have all of the third to work with here. And Relating Wave, well, Bluey makes that challenge happen. That catch from Virtuoso actually paid dividends for Calix. It wasn't really in a spot to do anything had that ball actually went through Virtuoso. Didn't really matter for Endpoint. They were able to get the ball out. And they're hanging on to this 2-goal lead, Triple Trouble, since that tying goal. Just really haven't been able to put together that one opportunity you're waiting for them to finally close on. And Triple Trouble, here's Tadpole. He's got no boost, though, on that 50.
Oh, Bluey was trying to deny the boost and the ball. And while he might have got the touch, he didn't deny that corner boost either. So, you know, that's kind of one of those decisions where you're trying to accomplish two tasks at once. Because if you stall out the defense there and they don't have the boost in the tank to make a save or get the ball away from the backboard, you're going to be in a good spot. But if you don't execute it properly, you're kind of just going to hamstring the attack.
You know, Triple Trouble's attack a bit stalled out. The shots, you look at them and you think, okay, pretty close, but not much on the table to look at for Triple Trouble. Endpoint, however, tons to look at. Everybody contributing, and they got one more to go to move on.
The demo is the big money in this one for Endpoint. Pretty much every goal that went in was the product of a demo, but I just want to see that Virtuoso flip to the right one more time, because
I want to see the Mets fake. I want to see that one more time.
The Mets fake was great, because that one really does put the heat onto Triple Trouble, you know, be like, you got to shape up, because we just destroyed that man. And this great shot from Tadpole started off well, brought it back, and here's the fake from Metza. Goodbye, Calix. And Virtuoso, the cherry on top with this one.
Oh,
wow.
Man. Those upside down wheel touches, like right in front of the box. We've seen a couple of them in Season X so far, but that one was probably the closest that I've seen to either touching the ground or hitting a Triple Trouble player. Either way, man. Relating Wave, congratulations. You have 82 points, and
yeah,
you were able to win by 2 goals, so everyone give a round of applause to Relating Wave.
Yeah, you know,
I enjoy my sub 100 point players every now and again.
Every now and again, you know, there are games like that where you realize you don't have to do much. As long as you're in the right place, sometimes your other 2 teammates are just able to get everything done. That was Relating Wave that game. He goes, I'm in position. I will be here if you need me. And that's all you need. It is fine to just not try and stretch things too hard. You're doing great.
He just sits back and says, I don't have to do anything. This is great.
Great. My teammates are so good.
I get to, you know, I'm playing an RLCS and my teammates, they do all the work for me, at least in one game. Relating Wave is probably going to have to do a lot more work to finish out this series. Mets and Norris back to Virtuoso and Endpoint are picking Triple Trouble apart.
You already knew this was going to be a goal after Metza gets this touch right here. I mean, it's going to force Bluey to just make a terrible touch, because it doesn't matter if Metza's ball is in or not. The defense needs to react to that, because it's going across net. They don't know where people are, and Bluey just doesn't have the speed or the positioning to square one up. And that's just a great attempt from Metza that enables his teammate to find a much easier shot.
Well, a nice catch from Mets, but Virtuoso forced back and had to feather the rest of his boost to get that solid touch to Relating Wave.
Oh, unlucky. Double demo there for Triple Trouble, and Tadpole just couldn't get behind the center of the ball and put that one on frame.
Well, Calix, minimal boost to work with here. That's the best touch he can get. Tadpole worms his way around 2 defenders. Calix whips back in, gets a solid touch back to Bluey, who misses the ball. Tadpole still comes forth, and Relating Wave gets there in time for the save.
Feels like Triple Trouble operating on a very thin line of boost here, and I think they might have just stretched themselves a little too far.
Now, Bluey knew it too. He was trying to pick up a few pads sitting as third man, and he was rewarded with a save or 2, but there's no clear, and Tadpole was put in a tough spot to pick up the save there. So as much work as Bluey did, it didn't matter. Metanaris, you can't get the shot. Tadpole picked up the next save.
Ooh,
Virtuoso squeezes by 2. Calix.
What in the heck?
Oh.
Like, I'm fine that Relating Wave isn't there. That's fine. I'm just amazed that Virtuoso even wins those challenges. That was wild.
I think that's why Relating Wave was gone. He wasn't expecting it either. Either way, Triple Trouble. They're still working on a limited boost situation. Calix picked up his first tank in about a minute. He's been working on small pads forever. Metanaris trying to work his way around Tadpole. And Triple Trouble just having to use so much boost on defense when they do get enough. And they have no control of midfield, but finally some space. Can they make use of it?
Oh, just missed it. But still have the ball. It's a good attempt there from Bluey to get the demo. Calix almost able to just stuff one through. Tadpole also pings one off the crossbar. Bluey finally another attempt, and this one, again, he's just a little short on his approach. Ends up skimming it across. Calix off the wall to Tadpole. That one's tipped aside by Relating Wave, and Endpoint gonna stand strong and force Triple Trouble to back off.
But that missed opportunity from Bluey, that whiff achieves, that's exactly what's been happening to him all season. Like at the beginning of this match, right, he was hitting those passes and hitting a couple of those carries, and you're like, okay, this is part of why Triple Trouble are back on the rise. But then these little mistakes creep back up on Triple Trouble when they start feeling the pressure, and it becomes a little too much for them. They've been able to keep this 1-goal deficit, and with 6 shots on net, they just got nothing to show for it right now. Calix launches it in front, but Tadpole couldn't quite get around that ball. Wow.
Did not pop that ball right. He was definitely going just for the short touch into the air dribble and got a little too far under it and ended up scooping it a little too high.
Oh, Virtuoso getting harassed in the back of the net, but Relating Wave stayed on the backboard and found Metanaris down the field. Calix will slow it back down. As much as Endpoint have kept Triple Trouble out, it may all come crumbling. Bluey's shot right on top of Metanaris. Now no boost for him. Have to rely on Relating Wave. No boost in the corner for him. Calix has the 50. Tadpole up. Small touch. Metanaris gets that. Bluey needs that touch. He got it. And Relating Wave will try to continue for Endpoint. He does. Starting to get to crunch time for Triple Trouble. The final minute. This is just for game 5. Trying to get it up, but nothing in front. There's so much bumping happening for Triple Trouble in the blue net, but the shot's never coming when it needs to. They're delaying the rotation from Endpoint, but they can't win a 50 to actually put any pressure. Now Bluey's all by himself, but he gets the save off the backboard. Relating Wave continues to push. Time ticking away for Triple Trouble.
And they can do something about this. Virtuoso. The guy just doesn't lose a challenge, apparently.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
And
it's off the bar. That could be what they need. Bluey sets one up for Calix, but Virtuoso gets the bump from behind him. That was the transition for Triple Trouble. Still not out of the woods yet, as Bluey is met by Relating Wave.
Virtuoso trying to employ his MMA skills to win this series against Triple Trouble. Tons of bumps at the end. Time expiring, one last chance for Triple Trouble. But midfield, it doesn't exist for Triple Trouble. All they see is orange, and for Endpoint, all they see is day number 4. They move on. Triple Trouble eliminated.
Rough stuff for Triple Trouble. You feel like if this was ran back a couple of different times, they would have made some improvements on some of those shots and been able to deliver in more of those important moments. But well, what can you do when Virtuoso and Metz are popping off like they were? They were absolute monsters that game. And Relating Wave, he puts in the defensive work there in that final game along with Virtuoso, because they did have to save a lot of shots, to be fair. I think I give a lot of credit to to Endpoint's defense this series as much as I do Triple Trouble's ability to not fully execute on some of them, because there were plenty of chances for Triple Trouble to score, and Endpoint just looks so solid.
Well, Triple Trouble started to put a convincing run in Regional 3, but it comes to an end. Endpoint, however, will stay. They will move on to day number 4. Leaf and the guys on the desk will break everything down for you for how that final bracket looks. We'll take it back to them for the end of the day.